Hello friends, today I'll be making a doll inspired by Natalie Wynn. She runs the channel Contra here on YouTube. I loved her look in the video called Beauty, and I'm using Draculaura as a base doll. This doll has a marker stain on her face, which I'll talk about shortly, but other than that I'll be prepping her as usual. I had a few issues while making this doll, but I've kept them in the video, so I'm hoping that you can learn from my mistakes. I'm sorry I haven't made a video for so long. I got sick, then my apartment got flooded, so I had to fix that, and because of that I had to totally change my workstation. In the video I'll be swapping between my old workstation and my new one, so sorry about the continuity issues. To reduce the stain on the doll's face, I'm going to use a 10% benzoyl peroxide cream. It's sold as acne medication. I bought mine on eBay, but you might be able to get it in your local pharmacy. A higher percentage here is good because it will work faster. I put it on relatively thickly and then leave it overnight, and then I wash it off. I had to do it 4 times to get this amount of fading. I'm using Buffy from Doll Planet to reroot today. If I use it full length then it will be to her ankles, but I don't want it that long, so I cut it in half. Natalie has ombre hair, which is darker at the roots, and to achieve this I tried using a Copic marker in brown and coloured the middle part of the hair. I don't recommend that you do this because I had to deal with issues later due to this. If I did this again I would either use dye for synthetic fabric and dunk the folded hank into the dye, or do what I had to do later in the video to darken the roots anyway. I painted the scarp dark and then started rerooting. I didn't have enough of the colour in Buffy to reroot fully, so in the end I used some of the shade Elsa, which is a light blonde, to reroot the part, which gave a really nice natural effect. This reroot took me about 5 hours. I've since found a much faster method and I'll show you in a future video. While I was rerooting, the colour from the Copic marker came off the hair and onto my hands, and then all over the doll. I got most of it off, but please learn from my mistakes. It's a waste of time using the Copic here. We can do it later. I prepped the doll like I usually do with 3 coats of Mr. Super Clear, allowing 30 minutes between each coat for it to dry. I started by adjusting the skin tone of the doll to be closer to Natalie's skin tone. Full disclosure here, the face in the thumbnail is actually my 3rd attempt. When I boil washed the hair to get it to lie flat to the head, more of the Copic came off and onto the face, and because the Mr. Super Clear hadn't been left for 24 hours to cure fully, it even left indents in the face up, so I had to take it off, start again, and then I hated the second one, so I took that off and started yet again. This is the first face up that I've done since I got my pan pastels, and I absolutely love them. They're super soft. Actually, one is completely destroyed because they're so soft. I got the portrait set from Amazon.com, and even with the shipping here to Japan it made them much more affordable than buying them one by one. I bought one extra shade in a local art shop, and that was magenta. They mix really well in the lids and you only need a tiny bit of product. You can custom mix your own shades. I first found ContraPoints as her video about incels was recommended on my YouTube. She's really open about being trans and her experience as a trans woman, and I think she's pansexual as well. I myself am gender non-binary and bisexual, and I love that she's making such compelling content about things that pertain to my life with such an individual style. She's done great videos on subjects that YouTube deems unsuitable, and with the issues facing the doll community, I feel like we're all finally getting a small taste of what the queer YouTubers have been facing for years. I've linked 2 videos about lies that YouTube has been spinning. One about words that will get a video automatically flagged and demonetized, and then lies that YouTube has been telling creators just this week, and especially this weekend, about flagging kids content. Both of these flags mean that a video will be demonetized. And in terms of kid content, it means that the comment sections will be removed and subscribers won't get notifications. Both of these systems are enforced by machine learning that scan both the images and the words in the audio track of the video. The first time I did the face up, I didn't have an issue with this red colour, but This time it wouldn't blend out properly. I think it's because I didn't put a lighter colour of pan pastel beneath it, and I got kind of a splotchier look, which actually I really like, and it reminds me of how Jacky does her blush on her face-ups. I'm a big fan of her work, so I decided to keep it like this. I've linked her videos, go check them out. I haven't talked about the issues with kids content on my channel yet. Many doll creators are putting disclaimers at the beginning of their videos talking about the danger of doll customization, including the chemicals and power tools that we're using, and I definitely agree that this isn't a hobby that is for people under 13. That's what YouTube considers a child. YouTube's machine learning will flag child appealing content and move it to the Kids app. This has meant that many doll creators' videos has already been flagged as child content, lost their monetization, comment section and sub-notifications. Many people are blaming the FTC and COPPA for this, but yesterday it came to light that this was a business decision made by YouTube to protect its profits. Rather than having only 2 designations, which in this case are kids and adults, YouTube could have chosen to include 3 options, the extra designation being a mixed audience setting. Illustrators, crafters and artists would benefit from this option because although we tend to use toys or bright colours, we aren't making our content specifically for children. Though some children may view our videos, they're not our main audience. With regard to dolls, adults have always been doll collectors, and there have always been dolls or action figures that have been specifically aimed to adults, in the same way that there are adult cartoons like Rick and Morty or Beavis and Butthead. Mattel have always made collectible Barbies that aren't for kids. There are dolls like BJDs and they're incredibly expensive and clearly not for children. The best artists within the Monster High customizing community sell their dolls for upwards of $400. These are just to be looked at, they're not for children to play with. I don't know a child that could spend $400 on a doll that they would just look at. YouTube pushed hard for creators to make family-friendly content. Now we're being punished for doing just that. I think most of us doll customizers want to stay family-friendly and we want to keep creating, but YouTube is making that impossible. I don't know what the future of this channel will be, to be honest. I've still been recording footage, but I find the effort to edit is really a struggle to find. YouTube said that the FTC would be suing creators directly. It's somewhat unclear whether this is actually the FTC's intent. Even if it isn't, YouTube has said that it will be deleting unprofitable content. My tiny little channel doesn't stand a chance. I've considered using Vimeo or Facebook. The best feature of YouTube is it's easy to discover new artists and for people to be able to find my content. Someone suggested that I use Patreon, but again, discoverability is an issue, and I want my content to remain free. Sorry for such a long spiel about all of this. I don't know if all of you know about this, maybe my friends won't, but other doll fans probably will. Hopefully I'll have some more solid information in the future, and for now I'll be on Instagram and continuing till the end of the year on YouTube, but I don't know about 2020. When doing this repaint, I realised that I actually wasn't following my own advice. It's great to watch other artists to get ideas, but you can't know if it's the right method for you until you try it and its alternatives. Many artists say to start with light colours and work darker, and while I agree with this for at least the sketch layer, I think I haven't been going dark quickly enough. I made sure to use a really sharp pencil throughout this repaint and went darker a lot faster than I usually would. Jacky, the artist I mentioned before, recommended using magnifying glasses while repainting, and this made a huge difference in terms of the clarity of my lines. Another thing a lot of artists recommend is kneaded erasers, and they just don't work well for me. I like the pop-up one that I always use. I also don't find that Mungyo pastels work very well for me, so being able to upgrade to pan pastels was amazing. Always try different things. There's not just one right way of doing things, and you might find that your style of art is different from other people's, or your methodology is different from other people. There is no right or wrong in dolls. It's what works for you, what gets the results that you want. I really actually hate the look of my face-ups until they're about 70% done, and even editing this video was actually quite difficult to look at for me, even though I like the final product. I think I forgot to turn my camera on for this part, or it had run out of storage, but I missed the first pencil fill of the eyebrows, which I did in a light brown colour. I went a lot darker on shadows in this face-up, and I really liked the effect it gave, so I'm going to try and push tones more in future face-ups. This is the first doll that I've done that's got eyeshadow on, and I really like the way it looked, so I think I'll try and do this more in the future. I finished the face up as always with Liquitex matte varnish and then 2 thick coats of Liquitex gloss varnish, but just on her lips. For Natalie's dress, I first made a little black dress using masking tape pattern and regular woven cotton fabric in black. I added a Velcro fastener in the back. Then, while looking at a reference, I added PVA glue and then glitter to look like her sparkly dress. I painted details on the dress with metallic paint. The actual dress has the designer's name written on it, I think, but instead I wrote Contra on the front and points on the back with a strangely placed O, sorry about that. After doing this, I sprayed the dress with Mr. Super Clear but with a gloss finish to make sure that the dress stayed sparkly but didn't shed. I wasn't sure what shoes to put with this outfit. My sister, who has great fashion sense, recommended that I look at the designer Charlotte Olympia, and there were some really cool heels, so I thought I should try and make them. I'm using my usual combination of warbler for a sole and then air drying polymer clay for the upper. You can buy that on my Etsy store, which is linked below with a discount code. I used cocktail sticks as heels. I added clay around the top so that it had a stable base to stick to the warbler soles. I built up the heels with more clay and smoothed out the uppers. I painted the soles tan and then forgot to film the rest, but I painted the uppers black and the platform gold. There's a little red detail at the toe, and then I glossed the platform part and the rest has a matte varnish. I used pan pastels in the same colours to blush her body. Because of my previous boil wash fail, The doll's hair was already lying flat against her scalp, which made me realise that for future dolls actually I want to boil wash them before I do the face up to get the roots to lie flat. So there's Mr. Super Clear stuck in her hair, but you can just scratch this out using your nails. I used a brown Prismacolor marker to add the dark tones back into her hair. I don't really like the way that a boil wash perm looks. I think it's just a bit too tight. I wanted Natalie to have something a bit more like a body wave, and while experimenting with some cheap hair off eBay, I found that if you run a hot straightener over the hair and then wrap it around a pencil pretty quickly afterwards, you get a really beautiful soft curl. After doing that, I went over some of the areas of her hair with a cooler straightener to loosen it further. I'll film it next time that I do it. I'm sorry that I don't have footage. Natalie is wearing silver hoop earrings in this video, so using jump rings and a thin wire, I twisted the wire around to make a post to then push into the existing holes that Dracula has in her ears. I painted her nails with magenta paint and then added a layer of gloss varnish. Then I put her together and dressed her. I love the way she turned out. I think she looks so pretty, and it's definitely my favourite face up that I've done so far. Please go and check out Natalie's channel, ContraPoints. She makes incredible video essays and her aesthetics are absolutely wonderful. All of her videos are really highly polished and they're just getting better and better as she keeps continuing YouTube. She really researches them very well and explains either one viewpoint or multiple viewpoints with fantastic humour and clarity, and I'm such a big fan of her. I stan. So thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you love my doll, please give me a like or think about subscribing. I'm really hoping to be able to send this doll to Natalie, but I don't think she has a PO box and I can't get hold of her to ask, so it might not happen. If you happen to be her best friend, would you give her a tweet? I don't know. Let's try and get this doll to her, that would be wonderful. Look, so let me know in the comments if you have any tips, tricks, questions, comments, concerns, and thanks again. Thank you always, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.